Today on the Best of Oklahoma Gardening, we have 3 beautiful gardens from our Viewers Garden Contest. From Colony, Oklahoma, we visit the water garden of Tom and Pam McLemore. Greg Heartsill shows us his water-wise landscape in Oklahoma City. And we walk through Dan Mill's lovely landscape in far eastern Oklahoma. We also have tips for controlling winter broadleaf weeds from Extension turfgrass specialist Justin Moss. Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Underwriting assistance is provided by TLC, Oklahoma's leading garden center, Southwood Landscape and Nursery, Tulsa's source for great gardens, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing.
Well, today we're at the home of one of our viewer garden winners. This is Tom and Pam McLemore. And we are actually located south of Weatherford, just about 5 miles from Colony.
Yep.
And it's hot. It's really hot and it's really windy. However, they have created an oasis out here. And we're just so glad that you invited us to come and take a look.
I'm glad you came. Yep.
So, Tom, you're kind of the driving force behind your water garden that you have here. How did you get started with it?
We started really small, about 150 gallon, probably in 2 tanks, and we went up from there. And this is what we ended up with. I mean, and it was a lot of work, but I enjoy it.
Well, that's great. Yeah. So you didn't start out on a huge scale. You kind of expanded.
Yeah.
And do you have plans to expand anymore?
I don't think so. No. I think this is big enough.
So,
yeah.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at some of the things that you have here. Now, this water garden, for the most part, the plants that you have in it are they native? Are they they're winter hardy? Is that correct?
They're winter hardy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to take them out of the pond at all. No. The only thing I take out is water papyrus over there. I take those out and put them in my greenhouse.
Oh, very good.
Other than that, I don't take anything out of the pond at all. The water lilies all stay in.
That's great.
And, they just winter over.
Now, how deep is your pond?
At the deepest part, probably about 3.5 feet.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about it getting too much ice on it and freezing stuff out.
It will freeze a little bit on top, but not real bad.
Well,
no.
good.
No.
Very good.
I keep enough water moving with my pumps all winter long that it keeps most of the ice off.
Very good. Now, you were talking about that you enjoy working on this and you've enjoyed putting everything out, but the amount of work that you have to do at this point is not overwhelming, is it?
No. I do a little cleaning on my filters, and other than that, I don't do anything. Maybe add a little water to it is all.
It's very nice. Now, in addition to the larger pond, you also, I noticed that you have some bogs around. What types of plants do you have growing in your bogs?
That is sweet flag in there, and then there's some native arrowheads that I found on the creek here that I put in there. And I'll also have some in some other little tanks on the outside. And
does the tanks on the outside, do you filter water through those, or that's
they're just still water. I just keep them full of water.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let them dry up a little bit, and then I'll fill them back up, and there's no circulating water or anything out there at all, and no fish or anything over there. So. And
you have, looks like 3 different kind of water return areas. You've made a fountain, and then tell me what your newest addition that you put in.
We've had that pod, and I made a water feature with it out front. I have a little small one in the front, and I stood it up and put a pump and everything in it to let it cascade over the side, and it didn't work as well as I thought. So we come up with this plan when we needed more water running through it. So I hooked it up to my bigger pump, and put it on the side, and it works really well.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I really like the
Yeah.
effect that it has. And it also, this has such a nice sound to it with all of the water.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not real noisy, but you can hear it and sit out here and enjoy it in the evenings. It's a lot cooler than what it is right now. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now tell me about your bridge. I like the design that you have in this. How did that come about?
We just we went to buy the natural wood or whatever that wood is, composite wood, and we had to go to 2 different places to get it, and that's all we could find. And so we had to kind of stagger it either way and make the boards come out where I have enough to finish from one end to the other. That's all I could find. So.
And it's got metal framework.
Yeah, metal framework and all. So.
Underneath. Oh, okay. So it'll hold a lot of weight then.
Oh,
That's great.
quite a bit of weight. Yeah.
So, well, it's kind of nice when you figure out, even though it's not the original plan, what you end up with at the end is even better.
Even better. Yeah, it turned out really well. Yeah, it really did.
Well, very good. Now you all, this is kind of your getaway.
Oh yeah.
Back here, you've invested money in this instead of maybe going somewhere, or kind of created a getaway right on your back porch.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that's really nice. I like that a lot.
We have weddings and birthdays here with the family. We had a wedding.
Wonderful.
Here
Yeah.
And you said your pond's pretty much in balance now. Is that
good.
a function of it being larger? Do you think it kind of?
I don't know. It took a while for it to get that way, and I don't know if with the plants and the fish, I had to get it balanced somehow or another. I don't know if it was the salt that I added and kept checking it, the water, pH, and all that kind of stuff. And it took me a little while for it to get it straightened out. So, but yeah, now it's really good.
So, kind of another one of those trial and error things.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah,
just
I
keep
just
at it.
Just kept at it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It
very
took
good.
a while. Yeah.
So, well, we really do enjoy getting to see your creation and enjoy your oasis with you. And thank you so much for sharing with
All
us.
right. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Well, today we're in Oklahoma City, and we are at the home of one of our viewer garden winners, and this is Greg Heartsill. And Greg, we're so excited to be in your garden, and thank you for inviting us in.
I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm looking forward to showing you my garden.
That's awesome. Well, Greg, tell us, this year's theme was water use, and specifically kind of talking about wise garden use. And what was your vision for your garden when you planted it?
Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have a lawn. I've mowed a lot in my life, and I didn't want a lawn. I decided that big deck, circular drive, gravel walkway would be fine. So that's what I've based my ideas on.
That's great. And who helped you make this come to life?
Oh, first of all, I've got a lot of helpful consultation through the years with John Fluid.
That's
He
great.
provided me with great guidance for some of the stuff I've done.
Very good. And so how did you choose? We can kind of look around and see
Sure.
what you chose. What are some of the plants that you chose, and why did you choose them? I see this just beautiful tree here.
This is the parasol, a Chinese varnish tree. When I used to walk at the Arboretum at the Will Rogers Park, I saw one. I enjoyed the huge leaves. Now it's not evergreen, but in the summer, the huge leaf provides a great canopy. But one of my favorite trees, I have 7 live oaks. Now, these live oaks were grown from acorns from the native stand of live oaks, indigenous Oklahoma's Quartz Mountain.
Very
And
good.
they are hardy. If they can survive in western Oklahoma, they can survive anywhere. They take it with drought tolerant, a lot of water. They've done just fine. The 2 in the front yard I planted in '98, which was one of the hottest years we've ever had, and they just thrive. So I'm really happy to have the live oaks here, the hardy Quartz Mountain live oaks.
That's great. And that's actually a key part of a water use type landscape, is that it can do with what water is available, if it's a drought year or if it's a deluge like we've had this year. And the native plants, any native plants that you can get, it's good to have those because they can take whatever weather comes at them in our area.
I have a number of almost 2 dozen Nellie R. Stevens hollies, which once I got those established, they don't need any watering. Now I've also tried to come in with some Allegheny viburnums. I've got 5 of them here, but I then have come back in and just brought in some nandinas, domestica nandinas particularly, that I've tried to just to tolerate Oklahoma's summers.
Yes.
And they provide evergreen. Now one of the mainstays of this garden is the liripe, the monkey grass. After all this rain, I've gotten to where I call it gorilla grass instead of monkey grass because they've just grown tremendously. So I've got a lot of that, and they stay green in the winter, which is nice. When the snow's covered, I still have some green in the garden.
That's good. That's also another aspect, is using plants that have tested well, like over time. Even though they've been imported, they do well in our area with the climate that we have, and that's a really good part. I noticed that you have put a lot of stress on plants that are evergreen. You like green.
I do. I don't. Now, if I had it to do over again, I would have more hardy Quartz Mountain live oaks all over. I just like those, but I do like the green. Now, you mentioned the native Oklahoma proven, the Arizona cypress behind me.
Yes.
Never waters that. I had a little trouble. Now, it's in the shade. It doesn't do as well as maybe it would in another location, but it also provides a little different texture and a little different color.
It does. It's a good way to add color to your garden without relying on a bloom. Now, you do have some blooming plants here. What are some of the blooming plants that you do use? I noticed that you've got crepe myrtle.
I have some small crepe myrtles. When I originally moved in, I had a tremendous shade tree, an old box elder that covered the deck and provided great shade, and this was the only area that was getting any sun. So I planted some hawthorn, some dwarf crepe myrtles, and then I've got a burning bush, and I just like the color of that in the fall. I understand that when you get a lot of rain in the fall, in the spring, you're going to get a lot of red out of that burning bush, so I'm excited to see what happens this year after our record amount of rain. But those are about the only colors that I have, except, well, that's just about it. The hawthorns haven't done anything except survive. In my garden, if they can survive and thrive with neglect, they're going to be fine. And I haven't had to do much. They're kind of crowded there, but...
So, tell me a little bit about your hardscapes that you have here, because this path is actually very stable. And what have you used on this to create this path?
I put in a base of clean screenings. I've got about 11 tons included in the circular drive in front, and then I've added almost 2 dozen tons of river rock that provides the pathway, and I have changed that path from time to time, but it goes around the deck, and it does provide, it is my circular drive. And one of the things I really like is the crunch under your feet when you walk. It's not like walking on concrete. It's always got a nice crunch to it. So, and when this gets wet, it's just really pretty.
Yes.
A lot of pretty when it's wet.
Well, you mentioned that about it getting wet. That's another aspect of a water-wise type garden, is that the hardscapes that you have are permeable to water. And so you don't get the runoff from it. It actually soaks into the ground, and it's so much better than having concrete because you're keeping your water where it lands. And so it's just really all comes together to make a beautiful and very water use friendly garden. I just really like what you've done here.
Thank you. Whenever I first started, I had to augment the soil, and I used dry grass clippings from the curbside from my neighbors. I would just grab their bags of clean grass clippings and spread it everywhere, 4 inches deep, and this soil now is just wonderful. And you can see this monkey grass. Of course, 40 inches of water didn't hurt it either, but nonetheless, it'll grow anything, and I'm really happy about that.
Now, when you say clean grass clippings, what
Yes.
does that mean?
Well, it's just the grass that I see in neighbors that take care of their yards. Now, I like nice lawns, I just don't want to take care of one. And when I drive by and see someone that has a nice lawn and they put their bags out there of their grass clippings, well, then I've taken those, let them dry so they're not hot, and then I spread them all over the garden. I had them 4 and 5 inches thick when I was first started. Provide a great base and really has helped the soil. And things just grow, and that's what I'm about, conserving energy and not having to water or be out here and mow, because when you have a lawn, you have to mow when it wants to. In this garden, I can do it on my own schedule, and that's usually in the winter or cool weather.
That's great. So you're conserving your energy as well.
Exactly. You see the Prius in the garage, I'm on smart hours electric. Anything about conservation, I'm for.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for showing us
not
your
at all.
landscape, and you might have to just sit down and enjoy it now.
It's my pleasure, Brenda. Thank you.
Today, we are here in far eastern Oklahoma visiting the home of one of the winners of the Oklahoma Garden Contest. This is the home of Nan Mills. Hi, Nan. Welcome to the program.
Thanks.
You have a beautiful place here. And like I said, we are very far eastern Oklahoma. How far are we from Arkansas right here?
About 6 or 7 miles from the border.
Okay, about pretty much straight east from Tulsa.
Yep.
Yeah, just over here close to Arkansas.
Yep.
And I can tell that you've been busy the 12 years you've lived here.
Yes.
Okay, done lots of beds, lots of plantings, lots of garden projects, and I love all of these big island beds in front of your home here, all these big borders. And I've noticed you've created raised beds. How did you get those started?
I brought in some soil, and most of it was wood chips or a lot of organic matter. And over the years, I just keep piling more and piling more on there. And I hate fertilizing with Miracle Grow, so I use composted manures from animals, from the local neighbors.
All right.
And I just build it up every year.
Okay, lots of organic matter. I love raised beds because it gives you that opportunity to create your own soil.
Yes.
And you've got quite a mix of plants in here. I love all the perennials and the tall phlox here. This has got to be one of your favorites.
Yes, it is. I love the way it brings in the butterflies, and the bloom lasts for months.
It smells delicious.
It does.
Yeah. Well, I was noticing that you have a lot of plants for butterflies. You have some rue plant.
Yes, I try to grow plants for them to lay their eggs on, and plants for them to eat once they are turned into a butterfly.
That is a great butterfly gardener.
Yes, I love
plants
butterflies.
For the adults to nectar on, and then also those host plants
Yes.
For the larvae.
Yes.
And we've got a swallowtail larva feeding on the
Yes.
the rue plant over in that part of your garden, and great to see those butterflies.
Yes, I love watching them in the mornings especially.
Well, Nan, there's a really cool perennial over in this part of the garden, this Japanese anemone. How long has this been here?
It's been there about 6 years.
About 6 years. And this was one plant that kind of spread a bit?
Oh yes, it's taken quite a while for it to spread. It was just a small clump, and it's a long time, and the blister beetles really like to eat them.
Oh no.
This year they haven't touched them, but I usually have to hurry up and spray them, or they'll just annihilate and I won't have any flowers.
All right, well they've got great flowers, and I can see lots of flower buds getting ready to come on.
Yep.
And over in this small little round bed, you've got a neat little plant that's mostly green, got a little bit of red on it.
Yep, a wild poinsettia.
Wild poinsettia, one of our Oklahoma native annuals. So those just kind of come up here and there?
Yeah, I had visited an elderly lady that had a serious cactus that she wanted to show me it blooming, and I know she had those in her garden, and so I took a couple of the small plants, brought them home, and she said, be careful, they can be a weed. She's not lying.
Okay, so they pop up here and there.
Everywhere.
Well, it sounds like you're very successful in your plant propagation. I noticed a couple of oak leaf hydrangeas over here on the side of your home. How did those get to be there?
I was helping a lady with her landscaping, and her bushes were getting too big and carried away, and I crawled underneath to see what was going on, and her previous person had put mulch over some branches that were laying on the ground, so they had set out roots, and I said, you want me to cut them off down here? And she said, sure, throw them away. I said, no, I'll take them home.
Wow, they've turned into some very beautiful plants.
Yes, they are.
All right, and you also like succulents?
Yes, they're so easy to take care of, especially when we had drought here a lot. and they just intrigued me that their little thick leaves could hold so much and take so much stress, and all these other plants. I'm draining my wells trying to keep them alive.
Those succulents definitely are tough. I love the the garden you have over there with the antiques and all of that stuff.
Yep, I love it. It's just every garden is like a different room on the property.
It really is. It's quite amazing. Well, I noticed you have some vegetables and herbs over in another part of the garden. Let's go take a look at that.
Okay.
Nan, I love seeing a huge vegetable garden. You've got vegetables, you've got some herbs, and all kinds of things planted in this area. And this is a very interesting herb right here in the center. What do we got there?
That's stevia.
The stevia plant?
The stevia sugar plant, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I love teaching kids to taste that, and they just love that. It's sugar. It's like, wow.
That sweet taste.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I noticed you got some echinaceas here, maybe kind of like an herbal type garden.
Yeah, I was trying to do medicinal herbs and herbs for cooking. So I did this side of the garden this year with just that in mind, and they're growing really well. This is the Back to Eden gardening, where you put in about 6 inches of mulch. I do have drip tape down underneath of it, but I haven't used it this year. But it's to conserve on weeding and moisture in the ground.
All right, always great to keep those weeds down. And yes, lucky this year we've had plenty of rain to keep everything growing really well. Your tomato cages, I think, are the best way to grow those tomatoes, those indeterminate type tomatoes here in Oklahoma. I love the concrete reinforcing wire cages, and you have a way of anchoring those?
This year I ran out of time, so I just used brick, but usually I use a 3-foot piece of rebar and bend it into a candy cane, then snub it up next to one of the loops in there and pound it down until it grabs a hold of it, because we get thermal bursts through here that'll lay those over in no time at all.
Okay, those winds will kind of knock them down if they're not anchored very well.
Yep.
All right. Well, in another part of your garden, you have some elderberries. Are those wild elderberries?
No, I ordered those about 8 years ago, and I use them for making jellies and wine.
Okay. All right. And usually you get quite a few berries, but
yeah.
not this year?
Not this year. I went out there and was wondering what was going on with my plants. The branches were all broken, and the corn in here was all I ate up, and I had coons on the property.
Oh, wow. So the coons got to the elderberries
Yes, I
this year.
didn't get any elderberries this year.
That's too bad. Well, Nan, I noticed in the corner of the garden over here, you've looks like you've kind of cleared it out and got some gourds growing. What's going on in that part of the garden?
I designated that part of the garden for my son and his family. They live in Rogers, and they come out here once a week, and they're teaching my grandkids, 3 kids, how to garden, and they're growing gourds so they can make birdhouses later.
Awesome. All right. Get those young people started early.
Oh, yes. They were just out here and were picking tomatoes yesterday, and some of the tomatoes were in a food fight.
All right. Lots of fun in a garden.
Yeah.
Well, Nan, I think your garden is beautiful. Definitely well worth coming over here and taking a look at all the stuff you've got planted, and I think you're an outstanding gardener. Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you.
So here are a couple of common winter, annual, or biennial weeds that we find growing across Oklahoma at this time of year. The first one you see here with the purple flowers is called henbit. And a henbit, you can often see this growing in the lawn in Oklahoma at this time of year, and you'll notice these pretty purple flowers on it. And henbit can often be confused with another winter annual weed, purple dead nettle, that also has the purple flowers, but they can be differentiated by their leaves. Another weed that's growing in here and often grows together with the henbit is the Carolina geranium. And the Carolina geranium is a little bit lower growing, does not have the purple flowers, and you see the leaves here usually are 5 to 7 with deep lobes in them. Now this weed can also be confused with common mallow, which has a very similar looking leaf but just does not have the lobes, but rather has a rounded, toothed edge to it. And all of these weeds are sometimes confused with another one called ground ivy or creeping Charlie. And the biggest difference with ground ivy is it's actually perennial, where these other weeds are winter annuals. Now, regardless of which weeds you have, you can control them with application of a 3-way type herbicide product. Now, these products can control broadleaf weeds, and they contain 2,4-D, dicamba, and mecoprop or MCPP. So a lot of times at this time of year, you'll see people's yards turn blue or green, and usually what's happening is a lawn service company or someone has went out and sprayed that yard, maybe with a pre-emergent herbicide, but probably also contains that 3-way type broadleaf killer, along with maybe glyphosate. Now with the glyphosate, that can only be applied to Bermuda grass lawns when the Bermuda grass is dormant, such as in January or February in Oklahoma, and should not be applied to tall fescue lawns. If you have a tall fescue lawn, only go with the 3-way product and don't apply the glyphosate. And as always, read the label and apply to label directions.
Next week on the Best of Oklahoma Gardening, we are working on garden projects. Former host Steve Owens talks about rock gardens. Consumer horticulture specialist David Hillock finds out how to purchase rock for hardscape projects. And former host Ray Campbell shows how to utilize raised garden beds for easier access. Join us in for more of the best TV you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, TLC Garden Centers, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society.